Not sure if you've heard the news, seen the stats, but evictions are skyrocketing. Now, some of this obviously has to do because it was essentially illegal to perform evictions for quite some time. But in reality, we could be seeing tenants who have spent their last dollar of their savings, the stimmy checks. We are seeing more and more, perhaps, unemployment. Landlords, we have to talk about evictions. And we're going to have the one and only Mr. Omar Alfaro here with Invest with Omar to talk about evictions. What's going on, man? I understand you have a couple of evictions going on.
Yeah, it's crazy. Michael, thanks for having me on every Tuesday. Appreciate the time that we do have to talk about the business and everything else. Um, yeah, so with regards to evictions, I mean, everybody wants to be the investor. Everybody wants to own property. Everybody wants to have rentals and have the tenant, in essence, pay down your mortgage, right? That sounds great. It's perfect when it all happens. And yet it's not perfect when it does happen because you still have recurring, repairs. Michael and I can tell you stories about this stuff that one repair messes up your whole cash flow for the whole year. So you're really just having a property that sits there that you hope that keeps, that payment gets made. But over the last 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, I've had some vacancies. We've had new acquisitions that we ended up keeping. We had new properties that we fixed and we decided to keep to rent out. And we're at 6 or 7 properties that are vacant, which sucks, right? But we're slowly putting everybody in there. But then when you put everybody in there, like, we're solid, right? And then we get a couple calls. Hey, I'm giving you my 30 days. Hey, I'm not paying you. Hey, is there a way you can work with me? Hey, I know I'm getting evicted, but can you let me stay here for another 2 or 3 weeks?
Mm.
Like, these are the conversations that I'm receiving. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, all of a sudden, everyone's getting a hair up their ass and they don't want to pay their rent, or they're trying to negotiate with me after I'm in evictions with them. It's pretty crazy, Michael, because no one tells you that this could happen all at one time. Okay. Not one person will tell you that you own some rental properties. And by the way, there could be a chance that you'll have 6 evictions,
Hmm.
3 vacancies. You better be making some money to cover all that nut. Otherwise, you're going to be forced to sell these properties because you got no more money coming in.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy part. Like, Michael and I know this. Michael, it's a little challenging for you if you have this happening to you because you'd have to start flipping property
Mm-hmm.
to fund. You have your nest egg, but that just that takes away from your amount of
Yeah.
money that you have saved.
I think there's a
Your
couple
thoughts
of
on
things.
this?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things to point out, right? I have the luxury of 22 years experience, good markets, bad markets. It
Uh-huh.
does seem to come in waves.
It does.
I remember a lot of evictions in 2008, 9, and 10. We had to go through that. Um, it does get better because one of the things that we need to take ownership of landlords is we own tenant selection
Yes, we
unless
do.
we're acquiring properties with tenants in them. That there's an
Correct.
exception there. So most of the time I would ask landlords to look themselves in a mirror and say, did I do
Mhm.
something wrong at tenant selection? Did I make an exception? Did I turn a blind eye? And if you did, that's on you. I will tell you that I had so in Fresno County, I think I felt the pain in I think it was February. So we had several tenants that hadn't paid rent for almost 2 years. They were being paid
Damn.
by they were being paid the rent was being paid, but not by the tenant. It was being paid by some
Okay.
outside agency. Um,
Okay.
that agency communicated 90 days in advance and 60 days and 30 days that they're no longer paying. All 3 tenants. Again, think about this. You're employed, which all 3 tenants were. Somebody else is paying your rent, but you feel entitled at the end of this to continue to live for free. All 3 tenants who did not pay their rent for almost 2 years never paid their rent again. And I had to get them out in evictions. It took like 6 months
Jeez. Yeah.
and thousands of dollars. One of the tenants damaged the property. The other two left it relatively clean. One of them was just bitter. I don't understand that mentality. But apparently
How
people
you
got
bitter
used
if
to
you're not
free
even
money.
paying?
Because I
Yeah.
wasn't going to let them, I wasn't going to pay the rent for them. They were mad at me because they lived free for 2 years and it was the fun was over, but whatever. Um, so I had to go through that. The evictions took longer. Two of them were clean, relatively easy remodels. One was a pain in the ass, expensive remodel, but they did come in a wave. And if you don't have reserves, you don't plan for it, there's a problem. I've also invested as a recession starts a couple of times. And, I don't know what's going on in the high desert, but we could be on the cusp of seeing unemployment rise. So some things that I've
Oh
had to do in
yes,
the
big time.
past is not, never, ever sacrifice quality. Keep a unit vacant before you put a tenant in, a bad tenant in, a questionable tenant.
100%. Yep.
What you may need to do is I would actually lower rent like $100 to see if I get a good tenant. Next, we may have to offer move-in specials. I don't know how bad this may or may not get, but I've in the past had to have move-in specials, half off first month's rent, no deposit, whatever. Because you're basically trying to fish for good tenants, but never sacrifice quality. Every time I've sacrificed quality, it's come back to bite me eventually. So one of the things I could say in your situation, with 6 vacancies, I might go in and whack $50 off rent immediately if you're not getting the applications you want, just to kind of speed that up, heal that up a little bit. You can always go get that
Yeah,
later.
and yeah, you know what? You're right about that too, Michael. I mean, even the $50. I mean, just looking at what my competition is, we did lower it, and now all of a sudden we got more applications and stuff. But it's the process. It's like it all happened at one time,
Yeah.
and I've never had 6, 7 vacancies ever. It's always been 2, 1, 3, But
Now
then as you start acquiring more,
let's talk about that a little bit. So you did just go on a little bit of an acquisition binge.
I
So
did.
of the 6 vacancies, how many are
Uh-huh.
in the quote unquote legacy portfolio versus the new stuff you bought?
4, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 are the new stuff I bought.
Well, then, yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. A lot of that's going to be tenants don't like the new landlord. They think they're going to get a rent increase. What they're going to do, what those tenants are doing as soon as you brought the property, as soon as you told them you're the new person, they started looking for the next place because they know
Hmm.
you're going to jack their rent. This is just human behavior. So that's all part of the process. I would have been concerned, Omar, if you told me 4 or 5 were the legacy portfolio. The fact that these
Oh
are new
yeah.
folks, I'm not too bothered.
Yeah, one or two of them were legacy, then they vacated, then now we're rehabbing
Yeah,
it, making it look nice, and then
that
getting
all
it ready.
happens. 1 or 2,
Yeah.
no big deal, right? The size of the portfolio you have now, but 6. But then again, if you split that between legacy and new, you're okay. It's just part of the game.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. And that's how I feel a little better now. That's good.
Yeah, yeah,
So I just
yeah.
keep plugging away.
Yeah, well, then you also shared something off camera that I just want to record here. It sounds like you haven't got a check yet for your firehouse. What happened? What's going on there?
No, nothing yet, man. They went through the insurance and top person, this, that, and the other, making sure that it was no fraud or this, that, and the other. And it's
Sure.
like, dude, I'm just waiting for my check. Like, can you make it happen here? And yet, you know how some insurance companies are.
Yeah.
I mean, we're the 25th, and
It happened on
this
July 4th,
was
right?
no, this happened on Father's Day.
Oh, it was Father's Day.
Father's Day,
What day was that? July or June
June.
something. June.
Yeah, June. So it has been over a month since this has
Yeah.
happened, and we've established the claim. So it's probably a 4 to 5 week, turnaround. But
Yeah,
depending
I
on who
think
it is,
yeah, I mean, I think again, it's been a while, and thankfully you don't go through this a lot. I would say a month is about my average for the check. I got to tell you, I think
Okay.
one was 6 weeks. But once they, they got to go through their thing, right? They got to go through their process. They got to check for fraud. Insurance fraud's a real thing. You got to
Yeah.
respect that, right? That they got to do that. But at some point, they're going to go in, they're going to do a quote, they're going to do, the replacement cost. And at some point, a check will spit out. It sounds like you're
Right.
almost there.
Almost there. I mean, yeah, it'll be a month. Obviously, a month here. It's a little over a month. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm a little bit of a month. Yeah, I'd be
Yeah.
shocked if you don't have it within the next 2 weeks, but I'll check in with you next week. Omar, if somebody wanted to follow you, see what's what, how are they doing that?
Guys, follow me on IG at Invest with Omar, and we'll have some good information there on real estate and how to buy properties and all that good stuff.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thanks.